Hi, I'm Ashley Felton, and today we are going to go over section 13.6 and 13.7, which covers cake division. We're going to cover the background and history, procedures covering proportion, and the problem of envy and how it can be applied to everyday life. It's harder than you think to divide something into equal parts between a given number of people. Hugo Steinhaus, Stefan Banach, and Bronislaw Nastor were the establishers of cake division. Now we'll begin telling you what a wonderful method of fairness
The concept of cutting a cake goes back more than 60 years, and it all started with one man, a Polish mathematician named Hugo Steinhaus. He wanted to create a method of dividing a cake into envy-free, or essentially equally appearing proportions. However, his early models only applied to groups of 2 or 3 people. It didn't work for groups of more or more. This led to Steinhaus's lone divider procedure, which, as stated, divides the cake into envy-free proportions, but only works for groups of 2 or 3. Two of Steinhaus's colleagues, however, Stefan Banach and Bronislaw Nastor, extended Steinhaus's work and produced what is called last diminisher procedure, which allows for groups of 4 or more. In 1961, 2 men from Berkeley, Lester E. Dubins and Edwin H. Spanier, created a variation of the last diminisher procedure called the moving knife procedure. And though Steinhaus had established this concept of envy-free allocation way back in the 40s, it wasn't until 1960 that a concrete procedure was defined for 2 or 3 players by John Selfridge at Northern Illinois University, and then again by John H. Conway of Princeton. Now, neither of them actually published their procedures, but they were soon distributed to the public. In 1980, a concrete version of the moving knife procedure that had been developed in 1961 was developed by Walter Stromquist. And in 1992, Stephen Brahms and Alan Taylor established a concrete version of the 4 or more person last diminisher procedure, which was further developed in 1994 to create a concrete version of the moving knife procedure that can include not only 2 or 3 people, but up to 4. However, a version of the moving knife procedure that includes a group of 5 or more people has yet to be developed.
There are 2 procedures using cake division. The first one, and the one I'm going to talk about, is called the lone divider method. The lone divider method was invented around 1944 and guarantees proportional sharing by cutting the exact same size for each person participating. It can only be done easily with up to 3 people. While it does give proportional shares, however, it doesn't always guarantee that the participants will be envy-free. This is because one participant could disapprove of the sizes distributed, while the others will agree.
Another procedure used for cake division is referred to as the last diminisher method. This method ensures that each person has their fair share, but it is not envy-free. The last diminisher involves 4 people who each have an opportunity to cut a portion of a cake to 1/4 the size. For example, Mary, Mike, Jim, and Dan are cutting the cake. Mary cuts a piece to what she believes is 1/4. She then passes that piece to Mike, who has 2 options. He can either accept the piece and pass it on to Jim, or he can cut the piece to what he believes is 1/4 and take what is left, the diminisher, and put it back towards the whole cake. Jim now has the same opportunity that Mike just had. He can accept the piece and agree that it is 1/4, or he can also trim it to what he believes is 1/4 and put the diminisher in the center, and then he passes it to Dan. Dan now has the same opportunity as Mary, Mike, and Jim, only now, once Dan is finished with the piece, it allocates back to Mary. Now that Mary is out of the process, it starts all over again with the remaining 3 people. Once it is down to 2 people, the divide and choose method is to be used. The last diminisher method ensures that everyone has agreed to the same proportion of cake and that they've all had their fair share.
Okay, so there are 2 methods for the cake division procedure. I am going to give you examples for 2 methods. One method is the divide and choose, and the other is the lone divider. So, an example for the divide and choose is basically you're just splitting it in half. So, the other night, I went into my pantry and got the case of Oreos out, and there was only 1 Oreo left, but my sister also wanted an Oreo. So it was only 2 of us, so we did a divide and choose, and we split it in half, and I let her choose the first half and I got the second half. Now because I split it first and she got to choose first, it's even. The second method is the lone divider method, used for when you have more people. So for example, I went to Portillo's yesterday with me and my 3 friends, and we got a Portillo's cake. So the way we split the cake up is between 4 of us. If I'm the first person, I'm gonna cut 1/4 of the cake. I cut 1/4 of the cake and I pass it to my next friend. So say my next friend is Marcus. I give that 1/4 of cake to Marcus, and Marcus decides if it is 1/4. If he thinks it's more than 1/4, he can trim some of the cake off and put it back with the rest of the cake. If he believes it is 1/4, he passes it to the next person. So say he believes it's 1/4 and he passes it to Joe. Joe also does the same thing. If he believes it's more than 1/4, he can trim some off and put it back with the cake. If he believes it is 1/4, it goes to the last person. So say the last person is Scott. After everybody has looked at the cake, whatever that last piece is, Scott gets. And that happens for the next 3 pieces. So I would cut another piece of cake, 1/4, and I would give it to Marcus. Marcus would look at it. If it was more than 1/4, he would trim some off and put it back with the pile. If it's not 1/4, he would continue and give it to Joe, and Joe would take that piece of cake. Then there would just be half a cake left, and me and Marcus would use the divide and choose method and split it evenly.